Hi there, Stephen here from Spirituality Talks. I'm just going to do a relatively short talk today on depression and mental attitude, thought, meditation, prayer, uh, potentially how that ties in with addiction, as addiction is also a lot to do with thinking processes as well as physical and chemical processes. So yeah, we're going to start off looking at a little bit at depression and what it is. Obviously, there's a lot of different reasons behind things, and a lot of the time it's our thinking process in relation to a particular condition or a particular circumstance, as well as a physiological and chemical experience, I guess, which relates in terms of how we're feeling. Now, how we're feeling, a lot of people say, oh, that's just how I feel, but when you really look at it, it's tied in with a thinking process. Generally, they're like that. Thinking and feeling will be like that. For instance, if you remember a time you were very happy, maybe you were on holiday, you were at a beach, and you really go into that experience a little bit for a couple of minutes, what you'll find very quickly is your chemical release, most probably, and your physiological experience, as in you will feel calm. You may have certain endorphin release, natural euphoria, painkillers, opiate. I don't know all the chemicals that relate to every feeling personally, but obviously you can do a bit of research into that. But what we do know is that chemicals are released in conjunction with a thinking process or a thought process, among other things. In other words, it can happen habitually, it can happen automatically, and it does happen automatically, as in certain chemicals are released automatically. We're happy, serotonin. But what is being happy any more than what is being depressed? You know, it's a way of thinking. For instance, you could say, "Oh, I'm happy, I've got money." But if you've got money and you just lost your child, or you found out you've got 2 weeks to live because of a cancer, or you find out that there's so many things, then you know it's not the money, and you know that's probably not happiness. You know, in which case you'd have to look at the health issues. So happiness, you could say, is an all-round basic comfort, but then there's more to it than that, isn't there? What's depression? Well, you could say it's an absence of happiness, and then more than that, you can say it's a spiraling of negative thinking processes. Just by knowing you've got a holiday coming, you feel happy. Why is that? It's because your thinking process has changed. You may not even go on that holiday, but you might still be happy for the 6 months leading up to it, because it is a thinking process. If you remember something traumatic, chances are your heartbeat will go up, maybe you'll have stress hormone releases, cortisol, maybe adrenaline, depending on the situation you're remembering. Stress, you could say, is again a thinking process. There's the physical aspect of things, but then there's the mental aspect of things, which is probably the most important thing in relation to how we feel. So I can be in a busy restaurant. I've worked in a busy restaurant. I've been a waiter having 20 orders. But once I'm in the present moment and I'm not worrying about that, I just do one thing at a time and I do the best to my ability and I write it. But you can move quickly, you can do things quickly, and you can be aware without being stressed. You can be under pressure without being stressed. Martial art is a prime example of that, where you learn to become relatively relaxed under pressure, more and more and more. So then you start to realize pressure is not the thing that's occurring, it's the thing that's occurring up here. It's the thinking process we've got going on. Thinking, oh, everything is going wrong, we're doomed, I'm going to die, with no hope. These are things that I've experienced, these are the thought patterns I've gone into when I've been very, very depressed, and when I've been in the throes of addiction, and heroin addiction especially, and methadone. These things are pretty dark, and very quickly it seems that there's a lot of negative thinking processes that start to come out. Some may say that's to do with the spirit of what you're putting in your body. Others may say it's because the chemical itself or the interaction with whatever you're imbibing changes your own vibration, and that also resonates with certain thoughts. That's getting into something a little bit else at the moment. I don't know, maybe we'll leave that, but certainly energy, as we know, everything has got a vibration. Everything, you know, I learned that when I was at school, you know, in science class. Rocks have got maybe a slower vibrational pattern, a slower frequency, a slower, you know, than a gas, which is a higher frequency, a higher vibration, a higher state, and yeah. So certainly everything will have a different frequency, and that will include, let's say, plants such as ayahuasca or cannabis or sage or basil or you know any plants, and then a chemical structure, something that's been synthesized will have again a different frequency, and something you know, and then with the work of a lot of people, they've that Japanese dude again, what's his name? Oh, fucking hell. I keep forgetting his name, but he's the guy who's done experiments with water. You can look up Japanese experiments with water, and I'm sure his name will come up. And yeah, they found out that intention can change even what we call physical structures, certainly at a small level, and you know, chances are that goes out and has an effect. Yeah, okay.